July has been an insane month for ufologists and true believers alike. 2023 itself has been very interesting when it comes to the UAP phenomena, but recent testimonies from U.S. intelligence officer David Grusch have proven that we have much more to uncover. Welcome to the Crafty Cryptid, a channel dedicated to DIY crafting and spooky storytelling. If you are into conspiracies, cryptids, and true crime, then subscribe to the channel and ding the notification bell so that you're always up to date when I post my bi-weekly videos. Today, let's talk about the bombshell reports coming out of Congress as David Grusch has revealed that the U.S. government has in its possession alien bodies. David Grusch is a career intelligence official. He's a highly decorated combat officer within the United States Air Force and has worked with the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency and the National Reconnaissance Office. From 2019 to 2022, he was involved with the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force, or the UAPTF, and helped to create the National Defense Authorization Act of 2023, which was enacted on December 23, 2022. The bill, also known as H.R. 7776, was written with provisions for reporting UFOs and protecting whistleblowers. It makes sense then, less than a year later, Officer David Grusch would become a whistleblower himself when he testified before Congress in July of 2023 that aliens are real. Before the naysayers get too up in arms about my wording and terminology here, let me specify exactly what was claimed and why this is a huge bomb being dropped on the Congress floor. Until now, the Pentagon, the CIA, and pretty much all federal agents involved in this type of thing have had a wide range of answers when faced with the question, are aliens real? For most of U.S. history, the government would not even admit that UFOs themselves were real, despite many people in the nation and all over the world having spotted truly unidentified flying objects in the skies above their homes, their schools, and local military bases. A very common joke amongst ufologists and people involved in high strangeness is that it's all just quote-unquote weather balloons, because that seems to be the excuse that the government always comes up with. The famous Roswell crash was supposedly a weather balloon. Hell, even the Chinese spy balloon that was seen floating across parts of Canada and across the entire United States in February of 2023 was supposedly a weather balloon for the longest time, until the military finally shot it down off the east coast of the nation. It's because of instances like those that people tend to not believe the US government when agents and military men claim that what we are experiencing doesn't actually exist. However, there is a stark difference between seeing UFOs, or what the government now calls UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena, and claiming that aliens themselves are real. After all, just because a phenomenon is unidentified does not necessarily mean it's extraterrestrial in origin. In fact, foreign terrestrial threats are much more common than seeing something that traveled trillions of miles through outer space to get to us, and it's understandable, although maybe not entirely agreeable, that the government would want to keep under wraps what kind of technology they could be obtaining from unknown flying craft. That way, the enemies of the state would not be able to know what our government has and has not recovered. What makes David Grusch's testimony different than the UAP whistleblowers in the past, however, is that he's not just claiming that the UAP task force has recovered foreign technology, but that they have actually recovered specimens. Check out this clip from the C-SPAN video of Grusch's hearing, which takes place around 1 hour and 49 minutes in the full video. The full video is linked below.
If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
As I've stated publicly already in my News Nation interview, BIOLOGICS came with some of these recoveries, yeah.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program.
And was this documentary evidence, this video, photos, eyewitness? Like, how would that be determined?
The specific documentation I would have to talk to you in a skiff about.
Gotcha.
In case you didn't hear that right, Representative Nancy Mace asked Grusch if the government has the bodies of the pilots who piloted the crafts in the UAP task force's possession. Grusch confirms that, quote, biologics came from the recoveries, says the word yeah, and then goes on to say that these biologics are non-human in origin, according to the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program that he was a part of, who are still part of the program today. Grusch essentially confirmed that we do, in fact, have non-human biological evidence of pilots who were flying these aircraft. We have, in the possession of the U.S. government, alien bodies. This is significant for a multitude of reasons. Firstly, let me remind you that the government itself has never claimed to have extraterrestrial technology, materials, or biological specimens in its possession, despite the fact that several news stories have been published about strange and non-earthen materials that scientists cannot find naturally occurring on Earth, such as tetrataenite, which is only found on meteorites, and the highly controversial fossilized microbes from Mars that were supposedly found in 1996, and subsequently started a decades-long argument with skeptics, according to the American Museum of Natural History. Germs, rocks, and space metals are vastly different from alien bodies, but if we want to be sticklers about this argument, we can point to these things as proof that the government simply denies truth, even when it's there for all to see. If we're not being sticklers, we can also point to Project Blue Book and self-admitted CIA disinformation agents like Richard Doty, who has claimed to literally be a disinformation agent that spent decades deliberately spreading wrong information about UFOs and extraterrestrials. You can see the documentary Mirage Men for more information on Richard Doty, or check out the sources in the description of this video. If the US government has never been trustworthy with this information before, when people have so clearly provided proof of UAPs, why should we trust them now? It's only been in recent years that the Pentagon has released military footage of UAPs taken from pilots and official officers and agents.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. My gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude. That's not our LNS though, is it? It's not. That is an LNS, dude. Well, if there's like... Look at that thing! It's rotating.
They have finally admitted what all of us have known for decades, that UAPs are a real, tangible phenomena, and people have had true experiences with them. Instead of painting us all as crackpots, which is exactly what Richard Doty and others like him did to countless people over the years, they have finally come clean and admitted that UAPs are real. They have also, however, been very careful as to the wording they've used. Most of the time, when you read about an unidentified flying object, like the ones shot down in February alongside the Chinese spy balloon, words like unmanned or foreign are used. This is the first time we've had a government official, and a highly decorated, well-respected, and vetted one at that, literally claim that extraterrestrial non-human pilots are flying these aircraft. But is there any evidence? That is the question that so many skeptics continue to ask. Grusch himself has stated in the hearings that there are certain things he cannot make public, but would be happy to share with Congress in special private meetings. Some of those things include photos, of course. Why does there never seem to be empirical evidence when it comes to alien claims? A very biased MSNBC opinion piece that I have linked below makes the point that there are thousands of satellites orbiting Earth, and that actual alien craft should be picked up by these satellites if they exist. I understand this argument, but I would also like to counter with this. Just this year, we saw an example of an unidentified aerospace craft that was picked up by satellites, but was entirely ignored by the government until it had traveled across the entirety of the United States. Yes, I am talking about the Chinese surveillance balloon. If we can't even pay enough attention to our satellites to watch a foreign threat take a multi-day stroll across our whole nation, gathering data as it went for an enemy nation, then what makes you think we're going to be able to spend every waking moment analyzing every tic-tac and saucer-shaped vehicle in the sky? What we are relying upon with David Grusch is his reputation, his rank, his eyewitness accounts, and his sworn oath, which could land him in a world of hurt if he was truly lying. Not to mention, he's actually coming to Congress and they are listening to him rather than rejecting him and calling him a crackpot. I understand how this is not enough proof for a lot of people, but for me, it's just one step closer to getting that empirical data that skeptics demand. However, I also know about the US government's history of using disinformation agents and infiltrating ufology to make us all look like insane fools. Could David Grusch be another agent? Perhaps. Could he have come forward now in order to distract us from something uncouth that the government is doing? Perhaps. But Grusch has also made it clear that he is acting on his own, that he does not represent the Department of Defense, and that all of what he claims is his own opinion and observation. Do I think the aliens are real? I believe in the possibility of them. As a Christian, I have a hard time thinking that a God more expansive than the universe, who could speak a single word and fulminate an entire universe of planets, stars, and phenomena, would limit life and existence to one singular planet in all of that space. I believe that the Bible was written specifically for humankind and that Jesus Christ came to earth specifically for humankind, but that doesn't mean that my faith doesn't allow for other life forms to exist. And from a non-faith standpoint, I am a logical person who can calculate how infinitesimal we are in the grand scheme of the universe. Earth is not the center of the solar system. Our solar system is not the center of the Milky Way. Why would the Milky Way be the center of the universe? The chances of us being the only intelligent life out there are so incredibly small that it doesn't even bear worth calculating. What do you think? Is David Grusch telling the truth? Do we have alien bodies in Area 51 or somewhere else in the country? Or is this just another carrot on just another stick? Let me know in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed today's video. To be notified when I post next, click subscribe and ding the notification bell so that you're always updated when I post my bi-weekly videos. Just as a reminder, I will be taking a break from this channel in the month of September. It's my birthday month, and it's also when I take time to recharge my creativity. You'll have 1 or maybe 2 more videos from me before I take my break. Then I'll see you all for spooky season. Thanks for watching, everyone, and come back soon, Cryptids.